You are listening to Random Gameplay Pimpin'.
What is going down? It's your boy Studio MacGyver, and you are listening to Random Gameplay Pimpin'. This is episode 433. Got a few things I want to discuss, guys. First, let me say I am feeling much better. Other than a light cough that should be tapering off any day now, I'm finally good, man. COVID has finally been shaken off, and I thank God for that. But anyway, we got a little bit of Nintendo to talk about. We also have some Sony, goddamn Sony, to talk about. And then I'm going to talk about Crimson Desert, man, because this game, oh my God, this game is so outrageous. So amazing. I cannot, it's everything I thought it was going to be and more, guys. And I'm going to break that down and get into that and everything. But anyway, I talked a little bit about it last week, but I didn't have much time. But now I've actually had some time. I want to say maybe now 40 hours, 50 hours, something like that in the game. And I definitely want to discuss. But first, there's going to be no anime watch list. I haven't watched any anime. I've been watching, only TV I've been watching is YouTube, shit about Crimson Desert and Ray Donovan. Okay. Oldie but goodie. That's it. Everything else, I've been chilling. I'm waiting for the anime that I have been watching to kind of finish. Everything I think is about done. You got Fire Force, you got JJK, and the likes of some other ones. So waiting for those, and go ahead and binge them all. Right. So that's that. But right now, my PS5 has been getting a lot of play, and deservingly so. But first, I want to talk about Nintendo real quick, guys, because they have, put some numbers out recently, and basically they announced their digital and physical prices, which in my opinion hasn't really changed. Depends on what region you're in. But apparently in Europe, this has been going on for a while, but digital $59.99 and physical $69.99. So that's pretty much the prices. Now it will deviate depending on the IP, what it is, in certain cases, because Nintendo, if you go first party, some of their first party stuff, they'll be charging you $79.99. Okay. With that. So just be ready for that if you are looking forward to Nintendo first party anything, and that's what you have to look forward to. Like I said, me personally, I don't see myself getting a Switch to anytime soon. It doesn't make sense. There's nothing out here for me who play multiple consoles, and everything that they're coming out with is mainly third party, and either I already have the game or played the game or could get the game for a cheaper price and a better quality if I chose to buy that game. So that's just me. Everybody's different. You know what I mean? Nintendo has not been putting out a lot of first party games, right now. They don't have too much going on. Maybe that changes in the future, but right now I think they're just coasting off of their name, kind of like what Sony has been doing, after the PS5 dropped, okay, because they did all those bangers and with the PS4 and they kind of coasted off of that. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, also speaking of Nintendo, apparently there's some new revisions on the way with the Switch 2. Apparently somehow something happened in Europe where I think Nintendo was either sued. Something happened where they had Nintendo in court, and basically it has to do with some hardware thing where Nintendo has to revise their Switches to have removable batteries. Okay. And that makes sense. You know what I mean? In this larger scale of things, because anytime you have a device with a battery that is not removable, I mean, it's a ticking time bomb for a lot of reasons. There could be a number of different reasons why the battery defaults, the battery swells, the battery does a bunch of different things. And once it happens inside of the Switch 2, it's a wrap. I mean, that Switch is done. Okay. Pretty much. Now I'm sure you could open it up and maybe get some stuff done on a technical aspect, but that's just a different situation. It'd be a lot easier if the battery was faulty or if the battery was bad. You could just, swap out a battery, right? And then you could see the potential of third-party companies getting involved in this too, depending on what Nintendo does with them. So, the sky's the limit when it comes to that. But if I do get a Switch 2, if I ever do get one, I mean, it would definitely be the revised version of that with the removable battery. Personally, that's just the thing I would go for. But like I said, that's just another story for another time. But I just wanted to share that because right now in Europe, that is what they've, pretty much said, and it's going to trickle down everywhere. And Nintendo has also stated that they are aware of all this and they plan on revising the system moving forward. So just be looking out for that. But anyway, moving on away from Nintendo, because they've been pretty boring for the most part. I mean, the only thing I hear people talking about right now is that, Pacopia game. And it's one of those games where you have half the people, shitting on it and half the people praising it, because the half the people that are praising it are, they're glazing because it's Pokemon. And the other half, are Pokemon fans, but want more for the IP, and don't want to just eat slop just because it has a Pokemon sticker on it. That's pretty much the only thing I've really heard about when it comes to Nintendo. And also I've heard whispers about, the new game from Software that is coming out, and it should be coming out this year. And it is a Nintendo Switch exclusive, a timed exclusive. I guarantee you that, because this game will definitely come out for multiple consoles. I promise. But right now it's that, and they're trying to sell more Switches, but that one game is not going to do it for me. It's not going to sell it, but that it is what it is. But anyway, away from Nintendo, let's segue into Jesus Christ. Let me say Sony. Okay, Sony has once again raised their prices, and this time it is, the only word I can think of would be diabolical. Okay, it's fucking treacherous. It makes no fucking sense. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. Yes, I understand they're under duress, and as a lot of these companies in the tech field, but to raise these prices like this, guys, and this is coming from a diehard Sony fan, guys, straight up. Like, I love Sony to death, but I can't co-sign this shit. This is ridiculous. So basically, the prices that are moving forward stands as this. PS5, the base PS5 model, as you know, when it first came out, it was $500, right? Then they did a bump on it, $50, and it was $49.99. Now the new price as of April will be $650, $649.99. Go ahead and add the tax and go ahead and mark that up to $700 plus. Okay, so that's basically what you're paying. I don't know why people don't put the tax on this when they name these prices. It's like, let's negate the tax, because some of this shit you're going to be paying $100 on taxes, damn near. So it makes a difference, guys. That's a lot of money for tax. Okay, so you're looking at $650 after tax, around $700 easily, over $700 for the PS5, for the base PS5, right? And so there you have it. It's not going down. This is unprecedented, because usually when consoles come out and they've been out for this long, they get cheaper. Okay, so say if PlayStation comes out with the PS4, when the PS4 Pro comes out, guess what? The PS4 base goes down. It gets cheaper. And as time goes by, even the PS4 Pro gets cheaper. But this is not happening this time, guys, because of Orange Boy in the White House and because all the other things associated with these fucking tariffs and just the economy. So many things, the chip shortage, all of these things, guys, what is causing all of this shit. All right. And it's not just, gaming products. It's cell phones and everything that uses chips, right, is going to get price hiked. But this is ridiculous. OK, for a system that's been out 6 years now and it's only going higher. OK, PlayStation 5 digital, it was $499, $500. Now it's going to be $600. OK, for just the digital version. The PS5 Pro, $750. That's what it once was when it first came out. Now it's going to be $900. Okay. Add taxes to that, and you're looking at a cool $1,000, guys. The PlayStation Portal is $199, $200, and now it's going to be $249, which is $250. Add tax to that, you're looking at about $275. Easy. Okay. I'm left speechless by this because everybody's talking about it. Everybody's dumbfounded. And you can argue a bunch of different things when it comes to this. A lot of people are saying that, and I kind of agree with this, that if you don't have a PS5 now, then you probably shouldn't have one. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be looking to buy one now. You shouldn't be shocked and appalled at these prices if you don't have one. You know what I mean? If you already have one and you're looking, you're kind of like, damn, yeah, this is kind of crazy. And we own these and this is ridiculous. You feel kind of lucky in essence because you got it. You were grandfathered in, but still, you know what I mean? It's still crazy. I just don't know what to say to it. I really don't. I mean, they're basically just boxing out anybody else who was thinking about getting a PS5 now. Okay. New gamers, you know what I mean? People want to switch over and do certain things for whatever reason. I mean, you're not going to get that luxury now unless you want to pay this luxury tax. So Sony should definitely expect their sales to dwindle in April and beyond for this stuff, guys. Speaking of the PS5 or Sony in general, believe it or not, apparently there's a hack going around and the system has apparently been hacked. Okay. And this is something that Sony apparently is not going to be able to fix with the current models right now, because I guess whatever's allowing this to happen is within the chip that's already inside of the hardware for the PlayStation 5 consoles, guys. And so the only way they would be able to circumvent this is in the future manufacturing plants, basically put something in place that would remedy the situation. But you know how many PS5s are in the wild right now that are just sitting warehouses waiting to be sold or being held on right now? Those are still going to be live pieces of hardware. So the revised versions of these are not even probably being made right now. Okay. Or if they are, it's in early stages. So good luck with that, Sony. And a lot of people, upon me reading and looking into this stuff, a lot of people are basically saying, that's what they get. You know what I mean? A lot of people are pissed about these prices and they feel kind of, they feel some type of way about it. And I understand that. Even if you already have one like me and a lot of other people out here, it's still messed up. It's still a dirty practice. And it just goes to show you that Sony's just like everybody else, every other corporation. They got to make money. Their bottom line is all that really matters when you get down to it. And in essence, guys, that's what most businesses are here for, to make money, to make a profit, not to have souls, to be kind of, stone cold with it. And what gives these companies souls are, I think, the fans, right? The consumers, the diehards, the people who love what they make, right? So you can still hate Sony and love what they make. Like, you can still hate them as far as their, the suit and ties and behind the curtains and how they do business. Same thing with Nintendo, but you can still love their games, right? The game doesn't hate you. The game is not out to hurt you or gouge you out of money. The game doesn't have those feelings. It's the people who are making the decisions to put price tags on this stuff. And they're the ones that are, pissing people off. So that's how I look at it. I tend to look at it that way because, they do drop bangers, but this is a travesty. I'm just keeping it real. This is a goddamn travesty. I must say it. It is, man. It's a travesty. Damn. I just, this chip shortage is ridiculous. It's crazy, man. It's really putting a lot of companies on their backs, man. It really is. And I really just don't know where else to go with it. I don't know where they're going to go because the PS6 is coming out and they're saying it's still slated for 2027, which I doubt, which I really find that hard to believe. If they're charging all this, for the current PS5, you know what I mean? Right now it would be detrimental for them to put a PS6 out here because you're going to be looking at somewhere around $1,200 the way these prices are looking, right? And then I was watching Dreamcast Guy. He's a YouTuber who, you know, is into gaming, and he was saying that there was rumors that the PS6 is going to be $750. Everybody was like, well, how was that $750? And then the PS5 is this, right? So I don't know how they're going to do this. If the chip shortages are crazy now with the PS5s, what are they talking about with the PS6, right? They need to be focused on getting this chip shortage situation taken care of before they even start manufacturing the PS6, in my humble opinion. Because what's going to end up happening is they're going to Neo Geo themselves into oblivion if they keep this up, right? Neo Geo was an old system back in the day that was super expensive and very few people had it, and it was overpriced, and that was why it didn't make it, right? Because it was just too overpriced. They basically priced themselves out of the market, and that kind of happened with the PlayStation 3. They had kind of a spat going on with that as well. And so when the PlayStation 3 first came out, it kind of flopped really when it first came out because it was like $600 and they were asking way too much money and the games weren't out for it yet. And everybody was still playing Xbox 360 and that was going on and that was what was popping. And then the second half of the PS3's life, they began to start pumping out stuff. And then it began to kind of take a surge. And basically, after the PS4 dropped, and it just took off running and never looked back, right? So that's pretty much how that happened. But they got to be careful with these prices because, you know, right now it's kind of hard for Sony to price themselves out because, like I said, most of the people who wanted a PS5 have a PS5 now. Okay, I'd say that 5-year window, if you by then everybody else is kind of just straggling along. So maybe Sony's knowing this, maybe they realize this and they're like, you know, we're just focused on the next console. And it's almost as if they're purposely marking this up to push people to the new PS6, which will be like $750. So they say, okay, well, if they see this is going to be $900, what if we hit them with the PS6 and say, well, you can get this for $750, and then everybody's going to sell this shit like hotcakes. They're going to buy this like hotcakes, and problem solved. But I don't think it's as simple as that. I really don't. I think it's way more complicated. I don't see that scenario happening. To be honest with you, I don't see the PS6 coming out in 2027. I just don't see it. I see it 2028, 2029. That's when I really see it. And to see what's going on with these tariffs, to see what's going on with all this other stuff, by 2028, Orange Boy will be out of the building, and then maybe some things get changed and rectified. But until then, a lot of things are up in the air. And if I'm a company like Sony, I'm waiting for that, right? I'm not trying to do anything else right now with these prices because they will price themselves out the game. Everybody has a breaking point. And I believe that if enough people see this and realize what this price is and what's going on here, then they're just not going to fuck with them. Right. Period. Anybody else that are trying to come to the platform. And that's a way to alienate them if you're really trying to do that as well. Because, you know, every Christmas you have people who, you know, younger kids growing up old enough to start playing now, and they want this and they want that. And the parents are not going to be buying these systems for them if these are going to be the prices. Right. So it's a lot going on right now, and they need to get it together for real. I don't know who is in charge of doing all this, but they need to make something pop because this is ridiculous. But anyway, let's move on. And this is not going to be a long podcast, guys. And the reason that is because I'm running on fumes. And the reason why I'm running on fumes is because I didn't get off the PlayStation until 9 o'clock this morning, and I had to be at work at 2. Okay, so by the time I got off at 9, I went to bed, fell asleep around 9:45. So that should tell you I got about 3 hours, just over 3 hours of sleep, and I'm riding on fumes. I couldn't put the controller down. I could not fucking put it down. It's just, Crimson Desert is a crazy game, guys. It is so out there, and there's so much to do. It is just ridiculous. The world is beautiful. The music is awesome. Great soundtrack. My time with it so far, between 40 and 50 hours has been breathtaking. I have been doing all kinds of things. I'm learning new things every day. I just found out my journey has been crazy. Okay. Started out with a sword and shield, as my, weapons of choice. Played around with it a little bit, started discovering new weapons and things that it could do, figured out the emblem system and how to detach them and embed them in new ones, like gear slots. It's crazy. So you find an awesome weapon, you can actually take out the stuff that makes that weapon special, and then you can put it in another weapon of your choice that you may like, and just create your own builds. Like it's so much out here to discover and grab and do. It's a combination, in my opinion, of Red Dead Redemption, Zelda, basically, Tears of the Kingdom, I guess you could say. It's got some of that in there because it's got like sky areas throughout the world as well. There's so much to do here. It's the perfect open world action RPG. And when the game first came out, it's only been out about 2 weeks, right? I don't even know if it's been out the full 2 weeks yet, but in that short time that it's been out, it's already sold over 3 million copies and going. Also, the updates have been tremendous. Like in this short period of time, the amount of updates that they have put out has been remarkable. And the reason that is because if people don't know about Pearl Abyss, they were making MMOs. That's their bread and butter, right? That's what they specialize in. So if you know anything about MMOs, you have to have a dedicated team, for updates and adding and taking things out and fixing things, right? And most companies don't do that, who make regular games. They don't have the time, the resources and all that. They'll stick with the game post-production for, maybe a month or two. But after that, they got to go into the next project. With a company like Pearl Abyss, they can continue to keep going because they're focused on that. And these devs know what the hell they're doing because that's their background, right? So these updates have been coming out. They have been listening to the forums. They have been in there and actually correcting on the fly. I mean, I think ever since I've been playing, I've been getting an update almost every day, every single day. They're adding new things, quality of life, things like that. They're just really focused, and I'm really loving what they're doing. Really, really fuck with Pearl Abyss, man. And just a few things to give you an example in the game. Basically, they have just added awards for playing the game. So when I turned on the game yesterday, it basically gave me a bunch of rewards to upgrade my weapons up to like tier 4 without having to spend any resources to do that. And it was amazing. And so that was just one update. Another update was, dedicated and surrounding kind of like being a thief. So you could actually go in this game and, break into houses, sneak into houses and steal things, right? But the problem was, say, for example, you break into a house, right? You go and jump through a window. Nobody's in there, right? You're in somebody's room and you're taking stuff. Every time you take something, you get -5 points, right? And it's basically points that leave you in good standing with that town, with that city or wherever you're at. And so, of course, if you get that down so low, people are gonna, they're not gonna revere you anymore. If you let it go too low. But people were asking in the forums, were like, what's going on with this? When I'm in a room with nobody there, I'm taking stuff and nobody can see me, but yet I'm still getting a negative impact on my score because, you know what I mean? I'm stealing. And so it didn't make sense. And it still doesn't make sense. And they saw that it didn't make sense and they went ahead and corrected it. So now if you're in a room and you're stealing something and nobody's in there to see you, it won't count against you because nobody knew you were doing it. So that's really how a true thief works. Like if you get away with it if you don't get caught. So this is something that was really important because people who like to make money and people who are trying to, run their thing a certain way in this game, now you can fully kind of stretch your feet and kind of do that. And this is just a couple of examples, guys, of things that they've done in the game that have been updated. Another update that's really cool is when you go to your home base, the treasure chest that, you put your stuff in, it put in an awkward place. It was put next to one of your NPCs with another treasure chest. And it was just you had to get a perfect angle just to get in there. So they took heed of that and they basically put it in your tent area where I think it should have always been. And so away from everybody else, so you can go in there and you don't have to worry about interruptions or janky controls or anything like that. So they're constantly updating this thing as we, put out requests. They're really listening and they're really doing a great job of doing this stuff, guys. Bug fixes. There were certain bosses that were ridiculous and they were, OP, and they basically kind of circumvented some of that stuff. So it's crazy. And I'm so glad that they've done it. It's a completely different game almost from the day one, opposed to right now. And I can only imagine a month from now what this game is going to look like and what they're going to be adding in this game. Another thing that they added was, mounts. Now, in this game, you have multiple mounts you can ride. Horses is your main mount, right? And then, as you progress through the game and you could start finding other mounts like polar bears and shit like that. You could literally ride a polar bear like a horse and they fucking attack and you can use them as weapons as well. But apparently with all the mounts that are in the game, which is I think close to 50 of them, if I'm not mistaken, you can only use them for a limited time. So most of them are only limited, except for horses, right? Unless it's a horse, it cannot be, you cannot add it to your stable. But they changed this literally the other day, which now they have given you 5 different mounts that aren't horses that you can have permanently, and you can keep them in your stable, create a stable for them. So that's dope, right? That's awesome. I don't know which ones. I'm kind of trying to keep that secret for my own self, but eventually I will dive into that. And that's just one of dozens of different things you could do in this game. I mean, it's like I said, you can go fishing all day if you wanted to. There's different sort of breeds of fish. You can go hunting if you want to and make money that way. You can go and fight a whole bunch of bandits and get a lot of gear from them and sell that and make your own stuff there. There's a dye system, which you can change the color of anything. I think your weapons, you can change colors on as well. Your armor, everything can be tweaked, right, to your desire. There's just so many things. Your base, your home base, you can eventually, as you start doing missions for your base, you start getting a lot of, they teach you a lot of lessons in how the game works. And I just figured that out earlier. And you expand your base, which eventually you'll actually have people move into your base where you don't have to go to seek them out anymore. Everything at your base will become a one-stop shop. All of anything that you do, your alchemy, everything will eventually be there if you put into it. So it rewards you for dedicating your time and putting care into your base. So I kind of was neglecting it at first, but now I'm kind of like, once I get these weapons that I'm looking for, that I have my eye on right now, once I grab that stuff and some armor that I wanted, I'm going to go ahead and start trying to take care of my base. I think that's going to be my foreseeable mission here, for the next couple of days. And like I said, when I say there's so much in this game to do, there's so much to do. You will never run out of shit to do here, right? There's all kinds of weapons just laying out here. There's a shit ton of them that are not even behind bosses or puzzles. They're just out in the wild. They're just in certain areas and you just have to go and get there and get them. And so I did that last night and I'm just having a blast, man. And I went from the sword and shield for a while. Then I said, you know what? I like the two-handed sword a lot. I really love the animations and how that was working. I found a gun / two-handed sword, that has basically a nozzle on it and it can actually fire. And very interesting weapon, like just very interesting. And then I fell in love on accident. I found out I just stumbled upon the dual wielding and I fell in love with dual wielding last night. I said, oh my God, because I was having issues with this certain group of, soldiers, right, in an area, and they all have shields. So they were giving me the business. Like I was hitting them stuff, but these enemies, I have to give them kudos. They are super smart guys. They will come and flank you and they give you no time to breathe, man. They play, whoever did the AI for the soldiers and the enemies, they did an excellent job with that because they act like a real person or a group of people would actually act if it was just one person. They're trying to get you out of here. They're not trying to let you breathe. They're trying to handle you. And they do an excellent job of conveying that in the gameplay. And I was, dealing with these guys, and they were kind of tucking me in. They were handling me, and they had me on the run. I was running. I had to get out of there. They had me just taking a whole bunch of, whole bunch of hills, and I was like, "Yo, this just no, I can't get it done." And so I switched to the dual wield, and I started toying with that. And once you go dual wield, you just complete a whole nother move set. And I was sold then, because that move set is very relentless. Dual wielding is very, very fast in your face. It's more focused on like a 1v1. But if you know what you're doing and you know how to your movements and all that, and you have the right gear, you will be just fine with mobs. And I had to figure that out. And I put a couple of, special effects that I got from other weapons on those and swapped them out. And it is crazy. And with the dual wield, you also get more use of your special abilities that come as opposed to if you were doing like a two-handed sword or something like that, or a sword and shield. So if a sword had a effect on it where if you hit L1 3 times and then that 4th time you would get like a wind effect or something at the end, with dual wield you double that. And so, man, I have had a blast. And so I think I found my play style. And so now I've been looking into, dual wielding weapons, one-handed weapons that you can dual wield. And so I'm looking at that. I'm looking at my sockets. I'm looking at what can go in there. And now I'm really starting to kind of like, get into that, how I kind of want some of my builds to be. I just unlocked in the second witch, and when unlocking her, you get access to remove or embed your special, your I don't know the word for it, but your sockets or whatever that do special things. And so now I'm trying to collect these sockets, like where to find these sockets, where to find these weapons and armor with these sockets so I could use them to my advantage. And so that'll be my next mission. And also trying to get money, because I've been broke as hell until late last night. And I've just figured out where to go to kind of farm these gold bars. And you can even invest your gold bars. You can take it to the bank and invest it. And you have 3 different tiers. You can say, oh, I don't want to risk hardly anything. I don't want to take no loss. But you only get like a 2% interest on that. And then if you go to the second tier, I think you can get up to 20%. But if you lose, you can get all the way to negative 15%. And if you want to go for, balls to the wall, you can say, fuck it, I want the third tier. And I think there's like a 55% chance if you hit. And if you don't hit, it's like a negative 50. So you can play that. And so people have been saving right before the time runs out, before they find out if they lose or make money. And then what they do is just wash, rinse, and repeat until they get in the green, and they continue to do that. There's a number of ways you can do it. You can keep farming gold, and you can invest it and your money, and you can just, I would probably do second tier and just have so many of them and just continue to let the money grow and compound. And then you have that over there. And then you have, money for cash, where, money you get from bandits and things of that nature. So I'm trying to figure out how I want that to work. And then you can actually send your team, once you get enough people in your party, you can send them to different parts of the map and have them excavate and have them build things, and in return get money and things back for your base. And they can bring back gold. They can bring back cores for you to make you stronger. So it's a lot in this game. And this is just a tip of the iceberg. There's so much more you could do that I haven't even discovered, and some things that I have, but I just haven't had time to go do, or just didn't have the desire to do at this time. So I'm hype. I can't wait to get on it now. I've been thinking about it all day, but I know I had this podcast to do, and I had some other things to do first. But yeah, man, that's why I'm running on fumes. I couldn't put it down. And so it's going to be a long one. I might even go out and get me a energy drink, because I might need it though. Yeah, man. So I got to take my daughter to McDonald's tomorrow. I told her I promised I would. She likes to play in the park. McDonald's inside thing or whatever. So I figure take her there, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, take my laptop, get some editing done on some videos that I've been working on, and, watch her and repeat, and then come home and jump on the game. Right. So that's what I've been doing, guys. Crimson Desert is an amazing game. And a lot of people like the score. I think right now it's sitting at like a 78, 79 or something like that, Metacritic, something like that. And I think for a lot of the reasons, because they had a lot of bugs, especially on the PC side, and they were putting that out. But as you play the game, everybody who has been covering this game has said pretty much the same thing. As time goes on, the game gets better and better. The updates keep coming and coming. And the problem the thing was that is also, I think Pearl Abyss, this game was so ambitious, so many things, so many moving parts in this game, right? I think sometimes you can lose control of what you have a grip on sometimes. You've been working on so many things within the game. You finish it and you say, okay, that's done, that you forget to go back and maybe go over it again after it's all complete. And, you know, you've been living with this project for so long, so many years, that you're kind of pregenetically exposed to being a little numb to what maybe might need to get done or tweaked. And I think that's the issue with what they did. And sometimes you don't really understand, or you don't get that water in the face until you put the game out and you actually hear from the mass majority of players. You know what I mean? Over 1 million players coming in, letting you guys know that, hey, this needs to be done. You know, so you're like, oh, 30,000 people are talking about this thing here. Okay, let's take notes. Let's mark this down. And that's what they've been doing. And they said, okay, I didn't look at it like this. I didn't think of it that way. Another thing this game, you know, didn't have a lot of were fast travel spots day one. Like, they were spread out far and in between. So it made traveling, you know, a little crucial depending on where you were at. And if you're in uncharted territory, you don't know what the hell can happen. You could just get one shot by something you don't know. And now they definitely placed in a lot more of these fast travel spots. So it makes it a lot easier to get around, because this is a huge world. It's a big world. It's a big universe, and you need that to do your thing. And I am just amazed with this game. And this was everything I thought it was going to be. I really said that. I was highly anticipating this game. This was going to be my game of the year. I remember playing Neo 3 and loving Neo 3 and saying, you know, Neo 3 right now was that good where this Neo 3 it could be potentially game of the year. And then right after I said that, I said, well, we got to wait until Crimson Desert comes out first. And that'll be the tell. Once Crimson Desert comes out and I play that, then I'll be able to decipher what game, you know, is the best creme de la creme. And now it's safe to say that by a landslide, it is Crimson Desert for me, because this for me is exactly what I am looking for in a video game. Like, you are here, you can just go play. There's no, you have to go here, you have to do this, you have to do that. No, you can do whatever you want. And there's always something, and I mean always something to get into. Always an NPC to help out. Always somebody to get into it with. Always a secret. Always something to discover and stumble upon. You know what I mean? The awesomeness, just when you thought you found an awesome weapon or whatever, then you see something else and you're like, wow, this weapon here is God tier. And so I love that. I love being able to just grind and go and tell myself, look, I'm not going over there right now. I'm not equipped. You know, I went out there and they tucked me in really fast. I need to see about what I could do. If there's something out there I can get my hands on now that would kind of even the playing field a little bit, give me a chance to breathe a little bit at least. And I have found those things. So now I'm at a point now where I'm kind of like, okay, I'm ready to start to go and discover things and going after things now. And I don't feel naked and without, a paddle. I feel like I can move around and I can kind of defend myself a little bit if need be. Right. So that's where I am now. And now I'm kind of like in explore mode. And I found a couple new weapons I want to go after. I found this blade and I found this, what do they call them? It's basically it looks like a billy club, but it's not. It's kind of like a morning star, and it looks awesome. And so I look forward to dyeing those eventually. I may not dye the knife because the knife is like this blood red kind of knife and it looks awesome. So going after that tonight, going to get the morning star. I found some fucking gear that I really like as well. Cosmetically off rip before I even added anything to it. So I'm going to go after that. So I think that's my mission. Then once I get that, I think, get a little bit more money because there's some things I wanted to buy. One of the witches was selling some blueprints for some stuff to make. So there's a lot here, man. There's a lot here. Like she was selling one for defense. I can't wait to, just put some shit together. Let's get started. Let's start farming this stuff and let's just start exploring, man. Now these puzzles are crazy. Let me just say that now. A lot of these puzzles are crazy, especially the ones in the sky. you're going to need some assistance. I mean, a lot of even pros are saying, look, I had to go to YouTube for this. I'm not going to sit there and play with a puzzle for 45 minutes. You know what I mean? I know I'm not doing that. Now, if I didn't work, maybe another story, but I don't have time to fuck around like that with those puzzles. All right. Tell me how to solve it. Cause you still have to go through the motions of solving it. You still have to jump, parkour this, do this, dodge the traps, maybe fight a hidden boss or a sub boss here. You know what's going to do that for you, right? You still got to do that. So that's cool. Right. But show me the way with some of these puzzles, cause I don't have time to do that now. But as far as the world and the discovery and just the landscapes and everything in here, it is breathtaking. It is breathtaking. I started playing it first on performance mode because I have a base PS5 and it looked muddy and murky. You know what I mean? And it really kind of was throwing me off a little bit. And I was getting a little worried. I was like, the presentation is not. And so then I went to balanced and then it changed everything for me. I said, oh shit. And balance is a sweet spot for me. So I think you get about 40 to 45 frames per second. And then you get, the graphics are crispy. And so I was like, yeah, I'm doing that. So I'm playing on my monitor and, nice little cozy little shindig over here. So that's where I'm at now. And I've just been having a blast, guys, ever since, just doing my thing. And this game is probably going to be out for years before everything is found out about it. It's just amazing on what people have been able to find now. Like some of these secrets and stuff are ridiculous. No, you could go the whole game and never know and never find out and never get these weapons and never get this gear. So I have a bow that I'm trying to go get. And I have, the bow that I have right now, man, I got to shoot deer like 3 or 4 times just to bring one down. There's other ways you could bring groups down. I found out recently, you could blind them and you could kind of, you can chop them down that way. There's other ways you can do it, but having a decent bow, it wouldn't hurt. It's not going to hurt. And then there's some truly awesome bow skills, out here as well. Like I've seen some bow builds that are ridiculous. Eventually, I'm going to have a little bit of everything. I'm not going to get the creme de la creme of everything. I'm going to get the stuff that I like cosmetically, because this doesn't have transmog, but a lot of people have been talking about transmog, and this is something that I would not be surprised if they went ahead in a future update and added transmog in here. And to be honest with you, I have high hopes that it will probably be in here within 6 months, the transmog system. But until then, there's the way you kind of circumvent that is you find gear with slots in it, and as long as you have a couple slots on your gear pieces, you should be cool, right? You can swap out what you need if you really want something. So yeah, man, I'm really excited. It's just been getting better and better. I've been getting more and more excited the more that I play it. And this was the game for me. This is my favorite genre of game. And this game here is the closest thing that I can think. I can't think of another game that has come this close to what I actually love when it comes to open world games, right? And a lot of people say the story's not all that, but the characters are really good so far. I really like the characters and everything. So as far as the story, for me, it's a basic kind of revenge story right now. And there's nothing wrong with that for me. There's nothing at all wrong with that. So I don't know what people are talking about when it comes to the story. I love everything about the game thus far. So maybe I'm, biased because this is the genre that I love and I'm maybe kind of leaning into it, but I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't. This is the best combat of any game I've ever played when it comes to an RPG, an action game, adventure. Best, hands down. Once you get the controls down, yes, the controllers are like nothing else. Okay. I will say that. And I will agree with that, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it was only a bad thing because most people never had a combat system like that. So when you're used to combat one way in most of the games that you play in this genre, of course it's going to throw you off. But it's not throwing me off now. I guess I have so much time invested now. It's almost like a second, a third arm for me. It's I'm so used to it now. So once you get around that learning curve of how the controls work, you're going to have a great time. And I don't even know all the mechanics yet. I have not been introduced to every mechanic. That's why I just found out today that you need to focus. You would probably, it's in your best interest to focus a little bit on your camp, because it's designed to teach you all the mechanics. All the quests they give you are designed to train you how this works, how that works, like how bounties work. You know what I mean? You get half the bounty if you kill them, but if you keep them and put them on your horse, you can do that. You know what I mean? So there's ways around this. And so it's just an amazing experience. And so the game is asking you to just play it. Just come over here, spend some time here. We're going to show you some stuff. And, there's just a lot to do. And I am so excited. I mean, hand-to-hand combat, you don't have to even use any weapons. You can just use your fist if you want to. There's so many grapples, belly to back suplexes, body slams, F5s. I've seen elbow drops. What else? RKOs isn't in this. There's so many things wrestling wise in this game. It blows your mind. Drop kicks, like a super drop kick, all this stuff. Hold down square long enough, you will go into a drop kick and boot them the shit away from you. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, man. Tai Chi, all that. So yeah, man, there's a lot to be had in this game. So, with that being said, I'm going to bow out gracefully now. I've actually went over it. I thought it was going to be a shorter show, but it ended up being a little bit longer. But yeah, me talking about Crimson Desert, man, I could talk about this game forever. But anyway, that's going to do it, guys. I want to thank everybody for listening, downloading, streaming, wherever you may be. And we're back. So I'll see you guys next week. We do this every Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. And I'm out, guys. This is your boy, the Studio MacGyver, and you have been listening to Random Gameplay Pimpin'. See you next time.